depending on where you live in California, which is probably across most of California at this point, if you make $100,000 a year, you are considered low income, and you might even qualify for low income housing. That is mind-boggling to probably most people who live anywhere else in America. To be making six figures, 100 grand a year, and still qualify for low income benefits. It is mind-boggling. It is absolutely crazy. California is just, it's, I don't even know, man. I'm at a loss for words at this point as to how insane California really is. It has just gone downhill in just unimaginable ways. But so this is on NBC LA, making less than 100,000 in Orange County. You may qualify for low-income housing. This is crazy.
Living here in Southern California is
about a month ago.
It's even more expensive if you live in
which we all know. We know it's expensive out in California.
In those areas, making $100,000 a year will soon be considered low income. NBC4's Hetty Chang covers Orange County.
I think
She's
it already
live
is.
Right now in Irvine with this For Your Money report. Hetty, that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know, Colleen. It's sad and
Just
unbelievable.
A little bit.
Believe it or not, making $100,000 a year in places like Orange County doesn't get you very far. That's according to a recent housing report. You would qualify for
They have lost their damn minds out there.
About $94,000 a year.
How about you, I don't know, lower taxes just for starters, and even that's not going to be nearly enough.
But in Orange County, if you earn $94,750 a year, you're considered low income.
Insane.
I'm not surprised.
Oh my
Things have just gotten really expensive.
Wait a minute. They said the average is 130. Hold on a second. Orange County area median income is 136,000, and if you make 40K below that, you're considered low income. Very low income, extremely low income, and acutely low income. Oh my God, dude. California is so screwed, man.
Things have just gotten really expensive.
It is.
We thought
Oh
to
my
ask
God,
a
man.
business owner,
Not
a
to use the
soon-to-be
R
college
word, but I
graduate,
really want to
and a
use
high
the
school
word
student about
This
the
is
new
so
income
retarded.
thresholds for Orange County, published
California,
last month by the
what
California
the
Department
fuck,
of
dude?
Housing and Community Development. No one
You
was
got me
surprised.
using the
I've
retarded
seen
word.
a lot of change in the last 20 years. I feel always very fortunate to live here. I think it's the best place to live in the world. But, you know, sometimes there's a cost to that.
Sarah Bisikoff is a business owner,
Oh,
a
it's
profession she says allows her to afford living in Orange
I mean,
County.
if you like living in progressive hellholes,
can kind
maybe.
of give you more agency in, you know, your life and control.
The housing
You
and
like to live by the rules of the
Development
outrage
report
mob.
shows Orange County's low-income threshold increased by 32% over the past 5 years. Santa Barbara and San
32%.
Diego counties also
I bet
saw
wages
their
aren't going
low-income
up that much.
thresholds in the 90 to 100,000 a year range. Students we spoke with today worry about what their cost of living will look like.
Oh, they're completely
5 years
fucked.
from now.
It's just a
Gen
little
Z and
scary
Gen Alpha
daunting
are
for it to be
completely
so
screwed.
local to us. And yeah, especially with me graduating soon, like that's something that's definitely in my horizon, and like I have to take into account of with where I want to live and settle down.
Even high school students like Amanda Rahimi, whom we spoke with permission from her mother, say they're afraid a low six-figure salary won't allow them to live where they want.
It probably means that unless if
they
I go
want.
into a
It's
field
not what you
that
want. It's what you
makes
can
a lot of money,
afford.
such as doctor, lawyer, engineer, I probably won't be able to stay in the town that I grew up in.
Well, don't get a gender studies degree. Don't get underwater basket weaving bachelor's degree.
Income, people have
Don't
this
you get something
perception that a
in the STEM fields?
low-income person is, you know, the guy in the park that's like sleeping on the bench. That is not low income. Low income is all of our neighbors. It's our first responders, our teachers, our nurses.
Orange County Supervisor Katrina Foley chairs the
I mean,
county's
at what end, though? Like, where are they going with this? I mean, are they going to suggest that if you make $99,000 a year, that the state of California is just going to supplement your income? It's like, okay, so you make $99,000 a year, so California is going to give you like a free $20,000 just to bump you up. I mean, it sounds to me like it's just another step toward what, equity, essentially communism, where everybody's just equal. But in the grand scheme of things, down the road, everybody's just going to simply be equally worthless. You're going to get like the top 1% of elites, and then everybody else is just going to be flat, broke, dirt poor. That's why the $15, $20, $40, $100 minimum wage logic doesn't work. It doesn't work. Because if minimum wage is increased to $20 an hour, well, what does that do for somebody who's already making $20 an hour? if minimum wage in your state is $15 an hour and I'm making $20 an hour, right now I'm making $5 more above minimum wage, which gives me a little bit more buying power than it does to somebody making minimum wage. But if they jump it up to $20 an hour, that means everybody who makes $20 an hour or under is now at bare minimum wage. And the same goes with $40 an hour. I mean, I've heard them trying to suggest that they want to bump up minimum wage to $40 an hour. Well, if somebody's currently making $38 an hour, they're going to be in the same bracket as somebody making bare minimum. And it might help, somebody who's making $25 an hour who suddenly gets bumped up to $40 an hour. Yeah, that'll help you for a year or two until everything wildly overinflates to the point where your buying power is just going to get absolutely crushed. And if you're making $10 above minimum wage today, your employer doesn't really have any incentive to increase your wage to $10 above minimum wage if they jump it up to $20 an hour or $40 an hour. It really ultimately doesn't work that way. All it does is just drag more people down to bare minimum territory as opposed to elevating everybody up into a higher bracket. It doesn't work that way. It really doesn't, but they try to convince you that it does, but it doesn't.
Housing Finance Trust. She says the only solution to tackle the county's lack of affordable living is to build more affordable housing.
We get everybody educated.
Yeah, let the government spend more money.
Because they can't afford to live here.
That'll help.
We got to bring the cost of housing down.
Just throw more money at it.
And how do we do that?
No, don't lower taxes. Don't lower the cost of things.
Now, keep in mind, we're only talking about a one-person household. The low-income threshold for a family of 4 per se living here in Orange County is about $135,000. We're live in Irvine. Hetty Chang, NBC4 News.
And that is average, ladies and gentlemen. $140,000 a year is average. So here's another one. $100,000 a year is now considered low income in 4 Bay Area counties. This was also a month ago, roughly around the same time the other one was put out.
Explain why it can be so hard to make it here in the Bay. New numbers show that in nearly
Actually, was that also? Okay, yeah, that was also the same.
half of the Bay Area, you can make over $100,000 a year.
100 grand a year?
Be considered low income. NBC Bears Ian Cole explains.
Welcome to Clown World.
New information from the state shows in Marin, San Mateo, San Francisco, and Santa Clara counties, a single person can be making over 6 figures and still be classified as low income.
Yep,
Nowhere
there you
is
have
that
it.
more pronounced
Which
than
means
in
you
Santa
can get
Clara
government
County,
benefits
where people
probably
making under
if you make $100,000 a year.
$700 a year.
Absolutely
are now
crazy.
defined as low income.
If you make $111,000 a year, it's like you'll still have a hard time getting a spot here.
The number might be eye-popping to people outside the state, but some San Jose residents we spoke to say it's not that surprising when looking at local housing prices.
But it's a real conundrum, though, because I would suggest move. Just go move somewhere else where it's not so damn expensive. But you don't really want to empty out California into a slew of other states because they tend to bring their politics with them, which could potentially be quite destructive in the not so near future or even potentially in the near future. That isn't really going to solve much, but maybe that's their grand agenda. Maybe that's the big agenda. They're going to hike up prices for everything to a complete absurd degree to where nobody can afford anything in California. And there's a great exodus. And then all these progressive voters, they move into all these red states and they start flipping them blue. Maybe that's what their ultimate agenda is. I don't know.
Like people are starting to have to
Wouldn't surprise
live
me.
outside, live into different areas like Hollister and
I know they're trying that with
just to
Texas.
be able to make it even. And, buying a house is next to impossible. I'm a college student, I'm working, and I can barely even afford to live here.
Kayla
Dude,
Guerrero
you're like-
was in the South Bay
dude's like
visiting
40 years
family
old and he's a
today, but
college
moved
student.
away due to the high cost of living.
I made the decision to leave to a different county, to Placer County, and it's been a great experience. However, I'm away from family and friends and just everything that I knew as I was growing up.
It has gotten to the point where we're all affected.
Yeah,
and
that's
we
what
all
really
know someone
sucks.
who
People
could
who grew up
benefit
there,
from housing being
they
more
can't live where they grew up.
Silicon Valley at Home advocates for more affordable
Bullshit.
housing in the region. They say for every affordable housing unit that goes on the market, the owners see at least 10 applications. The
Surprised they
executive
don't see
director
100.
says these new income numbers are proof more affordable homes need to be built now.
What that number really means is that, yes, the wealth is being generated and there's still a lot of work to do to make sure that there's enough homes so that everyone...
Or, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't local property appraisal offices, don't don't they have more or less full control over the property values of any given local area? I think I got that right. I'm pretty sure there's local property appraisal offices that actually determine the value of houses. Instead of just building more and more houses, which are going to ultimately cost a shitload of money 5-10 years down the road, they might qualify for low income now, but they're just going to jack up the value of those houses down the road regardless. I mean, why wouldn't the property appraisal offices be focusing on lowering the value of these houses down to where they really should be? Because the average house across America, I'm pretty sure, is still over $400,000, if not approaching $500,000, which is absolutely crazy. And it's pricing everybody out. Nobody can afford a house anymore. I mean, not first-time home buyers, especially if you're in your 20s or you're in your 30s. It's not doable anymore, especially with the interest rates being at the rate that they're at. What is it, like 7%, I think, on average? I mean, that's just not a viable solution, I don't think, is just to just keep building more and build more and build more. And it's not really going to ultimately fix the problem for everybody. How many millions of people are trying to get into a house that they can afford? I mean, you're not going to be able to build the number of houses for all that. Plus, the cost of supplies and materials and wood and all that stuff, it's still crazy expensive, and it has been since COVID started. And really, the only thing that I think that they could feasibly do is to try to tackle the issue of the current cost of the houses right now. Try to get the values lowered somehow, which I know it's hard to do when somebody puts their house up on the market for like $1 million and it's like a small 2-bedroom, 2-bath house, and somebody just swoops in and just buys it. I mean, it's kind of hard to lower the value of houses when you're in a market like that. So I'm not really sure how to fix that issue, but I don't even know, man. It's quite a conundrum.
She says the state's regional housing needs assessment that mandates cities
but they want
build
houses
more
up
housing has helped
because it's more
the Santa
property
Clara County
taxes.
Housing Authority told us while some households at the low income level may qualify for state or
see, that's a major problem with California too. They have way too many projects, way too much bullshit going on. They still have that high-speed rail debacle going on that costs, what was it, like 40 or 50 billion dollars, and it's like not even halfway done. They completely ran out of money, and they really barely even made a dent with it. And yeah, so that's money well wasted. And that's just one of all kinds of different things with supplementing healthcare for illegal immigrants and food stamps and just the general welfare system overall. The state is spending an absurd, crazy amount of money on all kinds of shit, and they frankly can't afford it. But they managed to be able to find the money to put into it by raising everybody's taxes. And one way to do that would be to raise property taxes. And they can raise property taxes by just jumping up the overall value of neighborhoods and houses and all that.
Local programs, they typically do not meet the eligibility criteria for our federal housing programs, which are targeted to very low-income households and below.
Yeah, that's a problem. Anyway, so this video, I thought this was kind of hilarious. So in parts of the Bay Area, $100,000 is considered low income. So what makes that funny is that this video was put up 8 years ago. So this isn't really anything new that they've been talking about. They've been talking about this for at least 8 years.
Edward Apana
and
of South San Francisco,
still an issue.
with 2 children, says the cost of living in the Bay Area
obviously this is pre-COVID era.
So to hear that 6 figures is now considered low income sounds a bit shocking.
Over 100 grand. Oh my goodness.
But not that hard to believe.
Between the two of us,
it's not new.
We could still make, San Francisco, San Mateo County home. But if one of us were to, to lose our job, it'd be kind of tough.
The new numbers come
And that's
from
the problem too. Both parents have to work. The mom has to work and the dad has to work, both full time. So what are you going to do with your kids? Well, either they don't have kids to begin with, or they just allow the state to take care of your kids, the public education system. And we know how well that's doing for a lot of folks these days, just rife with problems, with just a lot of indoctrination teaching, especially out there in California. I mean, is it all by design? I mean, it sure as hell seems like it's all by design, because the healthiest kind of family you can have is a family where, first off, both parents stick together. Divorce is not even an option. And you raise all of your kids until they're out of high school. And most ideally, you do it with the mother staying at home while the dad goes off and works. That's the system that's worked for eons, pretty much since the beginning of human civilization. It's a provable system that works.
HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban
But it doesn't work in California and, frankly, in a lot of other places across America.
For housing.
It's just
HUD
not affordable.
Says a family of 4 in San Francisco or San Mateo County with an income of $105,350 is now considered low income. For
Low
Alameda
income.
and Contra Costa counties, $80,400 is considered
It
low
hasn't moved at all. It's still about
There's a
it.
certainly
It was about that in the
dramatic
last
numbers
video.
today. Michael Bernick, former director of the State Employment Development Department, says the drama stems from positive economic indicators. Unemployment, for example, is 4% or less in most Bay Area counties. Here in San Francisco, it's 3%. In San Mateo County, it's even lower. Also, of the 19,000 jobs created in the state last month, 13,000 were right here in the Bay Area.
We're just creating a lot of jobs.
We're a victim of our own success.
That's part of it.
And your own
part of the
financial
broader
stupidity
housing dynamic in terms
with all your
of
bullshit
the
taxes.
desire of people to live here.
The main housing dynamic, not enough affordable housing.
If I didn't have any family here and my kids didn't have any friends or anything out here, we may be living somewhere else. People think.
But where are these people living? If they build more affordable housing, where are these people living right now? They're not homeless. They're living somewhere. They're living in apartments. They're living in townhomes. They're living elsewhere. Even though it's expensive, they're still living somewhere. So if you build all of these affordable houses, you build 100,000 affordable houses, then who's going to be living in the apartments and the townhomes and the condos and the other properties that these people currently live in, the ones who are considered low income? I mean, you ship them over to the affordable houses. Now you got a whole bunch of empty apartments just sitting there. It just sounds to me like the best solution would be just to simply lower the values and lower the costs.
But we call it
Which
home.
I know, I'm no economist. I'm sure it's a lot easier said than done. And a lot of it, it's rooted in their freaking taxes. They're charging too much money for everything. They have too many programs, too many social programs, too many welfare programs. It just goes on and on. So anyway, I'll just finish off this video with this. I came across this. This was actually just published 2 days ago on CBS News Sacramento. So apparently, the U.S. government is considering selling more than 16 million acres of federal land in California for housing. Supposedly. So let's see what they have to say about that.
The Senate continues to negotiate a way to pass President Trump's, quote, big, beautiful bill. We're now learning part of that bill could include selling
Not sure how beautiful it is, but okay.
California.
That's right. 16 million acres
I don't like seeing the federal deficit ceiling increasing $5 trillion.
Across the entire western U.S. According to a nonprofit group, the Wilderness Society, that includes huge swaths of land surrounding Tahoe and even a few pieces in the foothill and in the valley areas.
Now, among them, the Cosumnes River Preserve.
Yeah, because everybody wants to live in Tahoe.
That's where we find your reporter covering Sacramento County, Tori Apodaca. She's getting answers on the pushback that this plan is now facing, Tori.
Hunter Marley, imagine this. Instead of being surrounded by trees, I would be surrounded by homes. It's what could happen if this bill goes through.
Oh, she's taking the environmentalist approach.
That's gone untouched
for
hundreds of years. Peace and quiet. It's hard to find these days.
So they're pushing back against
We were
it.
out there for about 3 hours this morning, and
I figured they'd be all for it.
Really something
more houses means a bigger population, which means more members of the House.
Surrounded by nature at the Cosumnes River Preserve. But the U.S. Senate is considering selling federal land like this to turn into housing while generating upward of $10 billion for the government.
And who are they going to sell all that land to? Let me guess. BlackRock.
The sale of public
Vanguard, State Street.
Un-American. The nonprofit coalition Outdoor Alliance is suspicious,
somebody's behind this.
saying there's no safeguards in this plan that would prevent pretty much anyone from buying it.
Whether it's extraction, timber sales, or if it's developments for, wealthy developers or even foreign interests.
The other concern is this
I don't know
land
if wealthy
really
people want
meant
to live
be
out in the
built
middle
on.
of nowhere, though.
We've historically seen
Maybe
flooding
they do.
at the
I don't know.
Cosumnes Preserve, with waters spreading across the nearby wetlands and rice fields.
Flooding is natural, and so in some cases, this is like a preserve. It's an area that's not hurting anybody, and to let it be natural.
Republican Senator from Utah, Mike Lee, has been pushing for the for sale signs, but not everyone in his party is on
somebody's
board.
Putting a lot of money in his pocket for his
Any
campaign.
decisions made regarding the acquisition or disposition of these lands be made
He's a Republican,
only
too.
after significant and meaningful local input.
Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley
they want to get another seat in the House.
Opposed the idea on the House
floor. Why want to
floor
build more houses, bigger
weeks
population.
Ago. The House voted against it, but the proposal is still alive on the Senate side.
We have other places that there can be housing built, and it doesn't have to be on a pristine, precious preserve.
Will selling this federal land be a flip or a flop?
I mean, I would have to say that they should absolutely have a stipulation in there that it should not be allowed to be sold to any companies in any way, shape, or form. No developers, no hedge funds, or anything like that. If they're going to sell off this land, it should be sold to individual American families. Maybe like parcel it out in like half-acre lots or something like that, or maybe even a quarter-acre lot or something like that, and sell it dirt cheap. Make it really cheap. Almost like that, oh hell, what was that called? Was it the Homestead Act or something like that? I can't remember, like way back in the 1800s when they opened up Oklahoma and you could stake however much property that you're able to stake as long as you can, till the land and plant crops and take care of the land that you put your stake on, that it's just yours. It's just yours. That's it. It belongs to you now. I think it was the Homestead Act, but I don't know. I think that might be it, but I don't know. What do I know? But yeah, I mean, I could possibly be on board with that, but who wants to move to California, though, with all these insane taxes, though? Even if you live in the middle of nowhere, you're still subject to all of those state taxes and all the other insanity that California's really stuck themselves with. But anyway, that's about all I got. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I would be really surprised if that were actually to go through, especially 16 million acres worth of land. Even 1 million acres worth of land, I would be really surprised if they actually sold that off. And of course, we all know if they do sell it, it is going to go to some giant developer, or it's going to go to some place like BlackRock or whoever. It's not going to be available to the average everyday American family, and that's exactly where it should go if they were to put it up for sale. They should break it up into small lots, quarter acre, half acre, maybe a full acre, and sell it for a very, very low price. Very fair price. So anyway, that's all I got. See you later.